Good day. This is Biology with Miss Cruz, so let's start our discussion for Module 1 of Week 1. Now I have here different words related to the organization of life. Now I want you to arrange the following words. Based on their complexity, I'll be giving you 30 seconds. Your timer starts right now. Now let's see if we got the correct answer. The smallest unit of life is called the cell. Remember that all living organism is made up of cell. Cell is also the reason why humans continuously grow and why our wounds heal through the process called mitosis. Next is the tissue. A tissue is a group of cells which work together to achieve one function. Moving forward, a group of specific tissue which work together to achieve one purpose is called organ. Combination of different organs give us the organ system. Different organ system which works together makes up a living organism. Now let's move with the next activity. I'll be showing you pictures of different organs. Now, you have to identify in which organ system do the following organs belong. The first one, we have the lungs. Okay, very good. So the lungs is a part of the respiratory system. Next, we have the skin. Okay, very good. So, did you know that the skin is a part of the largest or the biggest organ system in our body, and it is called integumentary system? How about the heart? The heart is a part of the cardiovascular system or circulatory system. Let's proceed with the next picture. We have the blood vessels. So we have three types of blood vessels. We have artery, vein, and capillary. Okay, so the blood vessel is a part of the cardiovascular system or circulatory system. How about this passage of air called trachea? Okay, very good. It is a part of the respiratory system. Moving forward, we have the stomach, which contain the hydrochloric acid which helps in digestion. Okay, very good. It is a part of the digestive system. Lastly, we have the nose. The nose is a part of the respiratory system. Okay, based on the picture that I showed, which organ system had the most organs? We have the respiratory system. So what do you think is the topic for today? The topic for today is all about the parts and functions of the respiratory system. Before we proceed with the lesson proper, I have here today's instructional objectives. At the end of the lesson, with at least 85% proficiency, you should be able to first, describe the phases of respiration. Second, identify the parts and the functions of the respiratory system. And third, explain the importance of maintaining a healthy respiratory system. So here's the initial question. Why do we need to breathe? We need to breathe in order to survive. Humans can only survive without food for 3 weeks, water for 3 days, and air for 3 minutes. Also, air is an essential material for survival since it contains the primary gas, oxygen. And the oxygen is being used by the different types of cell in our body. The cell use oxygen in order to break down nutrients that we get from the food that we consume. After breaking down the nutrients into a more simpler form, the cell use these nutrients to create ATP, which is the main source of energy in our body. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. And this ATP is used by our muscles in order to do work. Therefore, we can say that we need to breathe because simply we need to take in oxygen and to discharge the carbon dioxide which serve as the byproduct of cellular respiration. So we need to remove the carbon dioxide which is the toxic waste inside our body. We can simply put it this way. Just imagine that the carbon dioxide represents a pile of trash inside the house. So the pile of trash may contain household hazardous waste, which may be contaminated and therefore can cause different diseases. So they are harmful for our health. That's why we need to discharge or take out the carbon dioxide inside our body. Question. What is a respiratory system? A respiratory system is an organ system responsible for respiration. So some students are confused with the word respiration and breathing. So when we say respiration, it is the total exchange of gases between the environment, the lungs, and the cell. On the other hand, when we say breathing, it is just a mere pace of respiration. I have here 4 phases of respiration. Now, in order for you to easily recall the 4 phases of respiration, we will be using the abbreviation BIC. Again, can you repeat it? We have the abbreviation BIC. We have 4 phases of respiration, wherein B stands for breathing. Breathing is the process of inhaling oxygen and exhaling carbon dioxide. E stands for external respiration. It is the process of gas exchange between the air and the blood. It occurs inside the lungs, specifically in our alveoli. I stands for internal respiration. It is the gas exchange between the blood and the different types of cells found in our body. C stands for cellular respiration. It is the process in which cells make use of the oxygen to break down nutrients into a simpler form to create ATP, which is the main source of energy in our body. ATP stands for adenosine triphosphate. Now, here's another question. Do we breathe in 100% oxygen? So remember that the atmosphere is a wide area. 78% of the atmosphere is allotted to nitrogen. So the nitrogen is used by plants. So actually the nitrogen is the essential compound of the chlorophyll in which plants use together with the water, carbon dioxide, and sunlight to create starch or sugar. Also, nitrogen is one of the major components of amino acid. Combination of the amino acid create a protein. So we use protein as a nutrient that helps us in fixing damaged tissue or muscle as we do our daily activities. On the other hand, 21% of the atmosphere is allotted to oxygen. The remaining 1% is allotted to the gas traces, to the different mix of gas traces. Now, it includes the methane, the chlorofluorocarbon, which is being produced by our household appliances, and the carbon dioxide. As we said previously, the respiratory system is the organ system responsible for respiration. The respiratory system is subdivided into two parts. We have the upper respiratory system and the lower respiratory system. The upper respiratory system includes the nose, the nostril, the nasal cavity, and the pharynx. On the other hand, the lower respiratory system includes the larynx, the trachea, the lungs, the bronchi, bronchioles, alveoli, and diaphragm. So let's start with the upper respiratory system. So the first organ system is called the nose. The nose is the only visible external part of the respiratory system, so it comes into different shape. So we can have a pug, a skimp, or a pointed nose. Now the nose has an external opening, two external openings called the nostril or the nares. Now we have the nostril. The nostril is also known as the nares. It is where the air enters. It contains a course of hair. Now this hair trap debris that can potentially damage the tissue of the lungs. Now we have two nostril. This two nostril is subdivided by a cartilage known as the septum. Next part is called the nasal cavity. The nasal cavity is also known as the respiratory mucosa since it is the space which produces mucus. So the purpose of the mucus is to filter the air. So it also traps soot, dust, and other pathogenic agents that can possibly harm the respiratory system. Now, the nasal cavity is also covered with thin layer of blood vessels. Sometimes, when the nasal cavity is exposed to extreme temperature or pressure, the blood vessel in our nasal cavity may rupture. So, this is the reason for nosebleed. So, especially when the temperature is cold, the mucus harden and turn brittle, and this might damage the blood vessel covering our nasal cavity. So next we have the pharynx. So the pharynx is also known as the throat and serve as the common passage of air and also food. So approximately it is 13 cm or 5 inches long. So it is subdivided into three parts. We have the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx. So we already discussed the upper respiratory system. We start with the nose, which is the only external visible part of the respiratory system, the nostril, which serves as the main entrance of the air, the nasal cavity, which is covered with mucus and form the roof of the mouth, and the ethmoid bone upward. We also discussed the pharynx, which serve as the common passage of food and air. Subdivided into three parts, we have the nasopharynx, oropharynx, and laryngopharynx, close to larynx. Now, we also have this other alternative opening of the air, which is the mouth. Now, here is the question. Why is it ideal to breathe using our nose than our mouth? Usually, we breathe through our mouth when we have nasal congestion. But it is the ideal to breathe using our nose because air is being filtered thoroughly in our nasal cavity. So here is a simple trivia. So do we have tonsil? The answer is yes. So humans have tonsil. When we say tonsil, these are the two buds that you can see as you open your mouth. Now, the purpose of the tonsil is to trap pathogenic agent. So when tonsil is covered with virus, bacteria, there might be a chance that the tonsil swell, and this causes tonsillitis. So the surgery for the removal of tonsil is called tonsillectomy. So before we proceed with the lower respiratory system, I have here another trivia. Do all humans, regardless of the gender, have Adam's apple? So the answer is Yes. So all humans, regardless of the gender, have Adam's apple, only that it is more prominent in male because of the hormone that they produce called testosterone. Actually, all humans have testosterone, but male produce consistent amount or enough amount of testosterone in their body. After the air passes through the pharynx, it will pass the channel known as the larynx. Larynx is also called the voice box. It is formed by a rigid hyaline cartilage that routes the air and food into proper channel with the help of epiglottis. Now, when we say epiglottis, it is the spoon-shaped flap elastic cartilage, which monitor the entrance of the food and the air to their proper channel. Now, when we consume food, the epiglottis close down and monitor the entrance of the food to the esophagus. And when we inhale the air, the epiglottis open up or flip up in order to monitor the entrance of the air from the larynx to the trachea. After the larynx, we will have the trachea. So the trachea is also known as the windpipe, and it is about 10 to 12 centimeter or about 4 inches long. It is a muscular tube covered by C-shaped cartilage. So the purpose of this C-shaped cartilage is to support the trachea. It also possesses cilia and mucus, which trap pathogenic agent as well as debris that can possibly harm the tissue of the lungs. Now, the lungs. When we say lungs, it is the sponge-like organ located in the chest cavity, and also it is the main organ of the respiratory system. Now, can we live with only half of our lungs? The answer is yes, but our daily activity will be limited. So as you can see, I have here two pictures of the lungs. So the lungs on the left side is the lungs of a non-smoker. So it is a healthy pink lungs. So it looks pink because it do not have the effect of inhalation of smoke or tar. On the other hand, on the left side, you can see a picture of a smoker lungs. So it turned black, so you can see the black specks because it represents carbon deposits. Now, the tar in the cigarette smokes builds up inside the lungs as it is being inhaled. So, over time, a pink healthy lungs turn gray and eventually becomes black as we accumulate more tar. So, a tar is a partially combusted matter made by burning tobacco or burning of cigarettes. So after the trachea, the air will enter the next passageway, which is the bronchi. Bronchus if singular. It is the subdivision of trachea which allow the air to route to the air sac. Next to bronchi are smaller tubes known as the bronchioles. It is also known as the smallest tube of the respiratory system. So as you can see, based on the picture, at the end of each bronchioles are alveoli. So these alveoli are covered with capillary. So the blue capillary represent the pathway of deoxygenated blood. When we say deoxygenated blood, these are blood which lacks of oxygen. On the other hand, the red capillary represent the pathway of oxygenated blood or oxygen-rich blood. Now let's go now with the alveoli. So it is alveolus, one singular. The alveoli is also known as the air sac. It resembles a cluster of grape, and it is known as the site, the main site of respiration. So this is the bronchioles and this is the alveoli. It is like a clustered grapes. Now let's see what's happening inside the alveoli. As you can see, when the oxygen enters the alveoli, the oxygen will penetrate the alveoli membrane and diffuse in the bloodstream. So now, the blood cell will then carry the oxygen to the different parts
of the body to reach the different types of the cell. Now, this cell, the different types of cell found in our body, make use of the oxygen to break down the nutrients. Now, as a byproduct, carbon dioxide is being released and delivered by the blood cell back to the alveoli. Lastly, we have the diaphragm. A diaphragm is a powerful muscle nestled on the bottom of the rib cage, and it aids in respiration.
Now, let's play the game. Take your dice and token. Now you can start your LAS 1.1.